Hey guys, welcome back to Ambi Neutral by Boo. Today is going to be a very short little video, but I'm so excited to be here. I'm so excited to be filming again. Even though I've only filmed like one video for my channel, I think it's just important that I start being consistent now and trying my absolute best. So this time around, I was struggling on what I should talk about. And I figured, why don't I just talk about the things that I've been thinking about? But it's not going to be random. I really had two things I was conflicted about, but I'm still going to post on the second thing that I'm not posting about right now next week. And it's going to be too good. But let's get into it. So, as the title suggests, I want to be uncool. This idea came to me like last week, and I was really just thinking about our generation as a whole, how we're so manipulated into buying into these trends that are on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, on social media in general. And we have become so fixated on being a part of the next trend. And I think one thing that I didn't think was going to become a trend, but ended up becoming a trend, is reading books, right? People do it as just like, it's no longer just like a leisure hobby that people do. Like, yeah, I just like reading in my spare time. I've heard someone say this, but it kind of feels like it's a competition now, which is very boring because people that used to read books before, it was like, oh, you're a dork. Now it's like, ooh, like I read 100 books in a year. GG's to you, buddy. But like, and also being smart is a trend now, which is like, bro, what? And the only reason why I feel the need to become uncool is because I'm on social media so much, I become conditioned myself. I fall for these trends. And then I ask myself, why don't I recognize the person that I am? It is because I am so, not anymore, not so much because I'm off TikTok. TikTok is a disease, bro. But even though I'm still on Instagram and YouTube, I feel like those are a bit healthier for me because I can regulate, like, oh, like when I'm watching reels, I'm like, okay, but that's enough reels. Like, I can't be watching reels forever and ever. Like, I have something that I need to do. And because I've started reading this beautiful novel right here, it has given me time to actually just tune down and focus on what Bell Hooks is trying to say about love. And I think I didn't want to talk about bell hooks today because that was going to be for my next video, but I'll just say one thing. And what bell hooks really tackles in this book very well is like the lack of love in within our culture. And we see that in the world that we're around. The only reason why we're so involved in consumerism and materialistic things is because of the lack of love, right? And we try to fill where community is supposed to be. We fill those gaps with these things that we can possess. And yeah, I won't go too much about like into that, but that's how I want to be uncool because I don't want to be that person who has like a 12-step skincare routine. Like my skin is not the best, and my mom recommended that I use these products that she bought, and they're relatively doing well for me. And I only have like five things in my like skincare routine, even though you might think it's a lot. It really isn't. It's the face wash, the spot treatment. Like I can't put the spot treatment all over my entire face, otherwise I'll burn. And then like my face cream, sunscreen. Oh, that's actually it. Sometimes I like put on a mango shea butter, but that's for my butter. Like I shouldn't be doing too much. But sometimes I put that. But as you can see, like those are things that just make sense that are in my skincare routine, right? And honestly, I think it's not even more about what's happening externally that's influencing me internally, but what I am allowing myself to consume is what's really affecting me. Before on TikTok, I would find myself in these depressive episodes or in these moments of hopelessness because I didn't realize how much I wasn't being in tune with myself. This year, last year really, I started journaling more often than I did, and it really helped me journaling. And I spoke about this in my first video, but journaling has really allowed myself to ask myself the difficult questions. And in addition to Bible study, I get confronted with who I am when I'm with God because He knows everything about me. So, in Him knowing everything about me and still not condemning me, but making sure that we talk about these things is really a vital aspect of my life that has helped me regain my identity. Because the only reason why I feel like I really would prefer being uncool is because being cool, the second you start chasing the idea or the identity of being cool, that's when you start losing yourself. And this can go both ways. Being cool is fun, right? Wearing like cool clothing, like that's cool, like because it looks nice. But can you see the connotation to cool there is things looking nice and appealing to you, right? But they do not strip you away from your identity. Whereas in the society we live in right now, being cool kind of strips you away from your identity. You need to attach yourself to certain things to make yourself seem cool, even though you don't like them. And I didn't like that because I got to a point in my life where I didn't know what I liked and what I didn't like. And recently, I remember I bought like comics when I was in Canada a few years ago. And I came back and I realized I really bought those like comics because I wanted to give them to a friend and also because I wanted to see like what's the fuss about. But then I pretended a bit that I liked them, but then I realized actually I don't like comics. And when I mean I don't like comics, I just don't like them. I don't want to read them. But there was a time in my life where I wanted to make a comic. Just because I don't like reading comics doesn't mean that I can't make comics. And I think that was also the predicament that I was in. Like, can I create something that I do not consume? You know? And I was afraid that I might receive judgment for that. That like, oh, but like you don't watch other YouTube videos. Why would you create YouTube videos? I do, like respectfully, I watch YouTube videos these days. I'm a YouTube warrior. But back in the day, I was like, I can't start a YouTube channel because I barely watch any YouTube. But I'm like, you really can, guys. You really, really, really can. Like I can be a news presenter and not watch any news. Like, but that's not advisable. I really do advise that you keep up to date with news, even though I really struggle with that. But at least I know what's going on in our current world. And all I can say is, yo, we need a lot of love in this world. And like I said, I feel like I'm going off topic. Let me go to my notes, baby girl. I need to stop saying that. Like, this is not 2020. But my first point is why? Like, why do you want to be uncool? And I just wrote here performative final boss. I have reached a stage in my life where I don't think performing is a cool thing anymore. Like, I didn't think performing was a cool thing, like, to start with, but I found myself starting to perform. And it's simple things, very simple things that we deem simple, but actually start to grow and have a large impact in your life. And I'd also like to note that Bell Hooks kind of talks about this a bit in All About Love, that we stop, like, in our culture, we made lying such a thing that is like easily accessible that people don't pay too much heed about, but we don't realize that that is the one thing that is affecting our ability to love in a negative way. And just to re-emphasize that, but in my terms, like performing does really affect my ability to love myself and to know myself and to love other people, because they're getting a version of me that is kind of shaded and weird, right? And I can only say, ooh, my Octavia, I can only say proudly that there's only one aspect. Okay, oof, never mind. But there is one primary aspect of my life where I felt like I was pretending, which was on Instagram. I love spamming on my stories, but I used to spam like in 2023 because I had this like a crush on this guy and I was like, I want to do validation so much. So I used to spam things on my story. He would like them and I'll be like, oh, yes, jackpot. And I still kind of spam on my story. And sometimes I feel that urge like, oh, I still want him to like. I don't really like him that much anymore. I care about him as an individual, but I do not like him. And I I caught myself a few weeks ago and I was like, why are you posting this? Like, are you posting this because you want him to see it? And I was like, really? No. But because I've gained this habit of posting things so many times because I wanted someone to see it and now I just have it, it felt really performative. And for a while, I would like log off of Instagram, deactivate my account and see if I could live without it. And I really could. But I have always been a person that posts. And I think it's because I was shaded by this idea of what I used to do, that I thought that that wasn't who I was. But I used to post anyways. Before I had a crush on anyone, I used to do the craziest things on my story. But you see, I had to come to that point of reflection for me to know that we should calm down. Like, you're not performing, even though there's some aspect where you were performing for said crush, but now you're not performing. You're allowed to post. You're allowed to just do whatever you want. Like, it is your life, and don't feel restricted from that. If you can't stop doing it, it can be an issue. And I think I was at a point where I couldn't stop doing it, that I had to pause and be like, no, I don't live for this person. I don't breathe for this person. Like, this is not cutesy. This is not cool. So I stopped doing it for a while, and I was like, actually, I just love doing it for fun. I like posting like dumps, and I like doing crazy things. And I am considering unfollowing this person because it's just, we don't have a bad history. We actually had a very good, I don't know what to call it, but when we stopped talking, it was kind of, it was indefinite because, yeah, you know, people. But that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about being uncool. So I just don't want to perform. And I think it's just mainly two aspects of my life where I didn't know what I liked and didn't like, because I was like, let me just like everything so that it's easier to relate to people. But sometimes I don't like what you're doing, but I'm so interested to know why you like it, you know? And that's okay. Like, it's okay not to like things. And I feel like when you're in this generation, you start liking trends that you would have never liked like a while ago, but because you're so conditioned to liking every single trend that comes because it's going to make you seem cool, you start losing yourself and you start becoming a person that you don't know, and you start performing. And I think honestly, I'm done with all of these trends. Like, I'm not having it. Like, I don't care what people do. I want to do what I like, what I enjoy, and what I seem like deem cool for me. You know what I mean? Then, really, the most important aspect of being uncool is just returning to who I was, or who I am, or growing into a person that I can recognize, and not growing into a person that I don't recognize. Because there is a fear in that. Growing up and looking in the mirror and being like, who are you, bro? Because I don't know you. And I think the privilege of also being Christian and knowing God is that He will sit you down and be like, I don't know what you're doing, but this is not you. Or He will just say, this is not who I called you to be. Whatever you're doing, you need to stop it. And even habits that I have now that I'm growing out of due to healing, bro. Yo. And due to having God counsel me, is I have a lot of habits that I used to kind of claim. And the Lord was like, that's not cool. That's not cute. You need to stop that, you know? And I think that's also a problem. Like, in our generation, we put so many labels on so many things. Like, oh, I am a ENTP. Like, I am an anxious attachment. I am a this. I am a that. And we don't realize that all of this identification is actually the reason why we feel so overwhelmed, so overstimulated. All of these things that drain us of our being is because of these identities that we attach to it. You can just be a person, because once we start attaching identities, that's when we lose the plot. But most importantly, when we start attaching identities, that is when we feel stagnant and in like we feel unable to grow. We feel as though there is no space for us to grow because I've labeled myself as this particular person and I have to be that particular person until I die. Like before, I think the only reason why I felt so uncomfortable posting on my Instagram stories so frequently recently was because before I wanted to maintain having the mysterious person persona, but I was so bored of that because that actually wasn't who I was. I was mysterious because I felt that since people don't want to get to know me, I will make sure that they don't. I will not post things that reveal aspects of myself. But now, honestly, I just don't care because at the end of the day, I get to live this life once and I need to live it well. And if I'm going to restrict myself and give myself an identity that I cannot grow out of, then it is not worth it, right? And that is also the thing about being uncool, is that you can be whoever you want to be. And in saying that I want to be uncool, this is not this like new identity that I'm bringing up and making it seem like, oh yeah, let's all be uncool. No, I'm being so real. Like, just learn to be a person. Essentially, if I paraphrase the phrase, I want to be uncool, it's just learn to be your own person. Learn to be a person within yourself. Stop projecting all of these trends onto yourself, even though you're like, that doesn't look too good, but I will hop on it because why not? We don't have to be those people. We don't have to do all of those stuff. And that's what I'm trying to tackle in this video, that we we can be our own people. And in a generation that is filled with so many creatives, it kind of becomes disheartening when you see other creatives falling for the trend. What is the purpose of being an artist if we're not going against what culture says we should do? And this is also something that Albert Camus talks about in Create Dangerously, that art is meant to counteract culture. And what I mean by that, I don't mean like we should totally just be on another spectrum, but we should have people that are on the spectrum of culture, but also people that are not in the spectrum of culture that can help us look at things in a different way. Here's an example, right? An example I just gave, that we have artists that are blending into the culture, ensuring that they content matches the algorithms that are being created to condition us. As a creative, that isn't your purpose. Your purpose isn't to put yourself in this algorithm. That's why creative people are creative, because you go out of the bonds, you see things in the way that other people don't see them. You create another dimension of reality that allows us to sit down and introspect and think about things and just ask ourselves questions about our humanity, who we are, and the world around us. And if we stop becoming the world, man, that means art is truly lost. Like, if we just start, yeah, okay, the trend this year is this, so I'm gonna post this because they say it's cool. I'm sorry, but I don't know if I can call you an artist anymore. I don't know if I can call you an artist anymore. And this is not even in a very like criticizing way. This is in a way I am scared, and I am concerned, because we cannot, as creatives, be doing whatever other people tell us to do, and we cannot allow some computer to program the way we make our content, the way we create, the way we share our life stories. We need to do our own things. And I really say this because there's a part of Christian TikTok where the videos are literally copy and paste, the formatting, the way they're written, the way it is. Yeah, the way it is written, the way it's formatted, everything is the same. Like, I can go to two videos and be like, oh, it has to be the same person that edited this. And to be frank, was bored, because I'm like, there is a lack of creativity here. You can be inspired, but copy and pasting is not cute, and it's irritating, because it's like, bro, like, we can't all be the same. Like, let's use our brains. Let's actually try and engage ourselves. Let's stop using content that you see, oh, he got 20 million views, I'm going to use exactly what they used so that I can get 20 million views. If your goal is to be viewed by others and be validated by others because of your art, I'm sorry to be the bearer of bad news, but you're creating art for other people. You're not creating art to actually express yourself. And I don't know. You can, right? You can create art as a way of self-expression, but also wanting people to see it. That is a good thing. But if it's only for the eyes of people, that's not cash money. That is just not cash money. And yeah, it kind of irritates me when I think about that, because I'm like, guys, no, like, we have generative AI already. We have AI that is ruining this the art space. And on top of that, you want to be like, oh yeah, I'm gonna like be in the algorithm. I'm gonna do everything as the algorithm says. That becomes boring. Like, I'm not saying don't post your videos at 6 a.m. in the morning, because you know that's when the time peaks and that's when more people are on. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying, let's sit down and think, because people are afraid of doing that. Let's sit down and think, would I watch this content and fully enjoy it? Or do I just need something different? And that's what I'm trying to do. give y'all something different, but that is also really authentically me. I'm not going to try and pretend and bring all this pizzazz and do all of these things so that my videos can be all cooly. No, like I'm gonna do as the Lord leads and as my heart leads, because I have been suppressing myself as a creative for so long because of the identifications I gave myself, and because I was allowing myself to be identified by algorithms and the way people do things. And I was like, oh, my content has to be exactly like that. And when I criticize, well, yes, now I'm criticizing. But now that I criticize about all of these creatives copy and pasting, it's because I wanted to be that person too. I'm not coming out of a place of ego, but I'm coming out of a place of understanding and relating to that sometimes you feel so burdened that you're like, I might as well just copy and paste so that I can feel validated and so that I can at least start creating art. But don't start creating art by looking at other people's art and grabbing at it. You can be inspired by it, but you know that there is an essential part of your art that will make you unique to other people, and hold on to that. Don't lose it just because of an algorithm. Let's all learn how to be uncool to these algorithms, to these individuals that are creating these algorithms, that want us to follow these algorithms. Let us not give them the upper hand, right? Because we are the ones that are creating. We are the ones that are making these platforms huge. Now with the competition of AI, it's a bit more difficult, but people are going to be chasing after humanity. And if you're not going to give them that, it's going to be so difficult to relate to anything, but it's also going to be so difficult to see art as art is. We're just going to be seeing copy and paste and everything that looks the same. And I know that we don't want that. We still want humanity to be a part of our art. And I think that also starts with being innovative and thinking and doing your own thing. And I just think I said a whole lot of stuff, but I said the most important things. And I just mentioned it, right? I wrote down that I don't want to feel like a living algorithm. I don't want to be this thing that is programmed, that is manipulated by people in these high positions at Google, Microsoft, whatever it may be. I don't want to be conditioned by these people to act in a certain way so that I can continue promoting their social media platform, and I'm just restricted. Like, I don't want to be that person, because I'll be restricting myself and I will not be the person that I was created to be. And that is the essence of being uncool, being the person that you were created to be. And sometimes the person that you were created to be, people will be like, but she doesn't do things like the way we do it. That is okay. You don't need to do your things the way other people do it. You don't have to. As long as it brings you joy and it makes you happy and you feel so enamored by what you do and you adore what you do and you feel so happy after posting it, do it. Because we don't want to be like open AI. I don't want to be like these fake picture, whatever AI generated stuff. I don't want to be like that. I don't know about you, but I'm pretty sure that we want art to still be art. We want art to move our hearts. We want art to change people's perspectives, and in counteracting culture, by creating art that counteracts culture, it will give people a sense of rejuvenation and will allow people to want to also create things that are out of the ordinary. Because being human these days kind of even feels like, or just, yeah, being human in general these days kind of feels like it's out of the ordinary, because we're all the same. We're all becoming machines. And let's not become machines. Let's just be our own people. And that's really all I have to say. Even though I went on a tangent, I really think that you get the message. Right, Octavia? I hope they get the message. But this was a very fun video to do. I was getting a bit emotional because, the world right now is crazy. But be uncool, do things that people would like, be like, what? You want to do that? Like, that's so weird. But because it makes you so happy, you're like, yeah, I don't care what people says. I want to do that. And when You find yourself being in a crowd that you didn't want to be in, but because they made you feel validated because you did the things that they liked, leave. It's going to be hard, but leave. If you're not happy, if you go back home feeling drained and thinking, you know what, I wanted to play a Minecraft obby today or whatever, Sky, whatever. But I didn't do that because my friends wanted to do A, B, C, D, F, G, but I don't really want to do that anymore. Don't do that anymore, because being uncool will lead you to the people that you're supposed to spend the rest of your life with. And I know that it did that with me. I met people that I do want to spend the rest of my life with because of being uncool and not letting myself be changed but by whatever hierarchy was established in high schools and in elitist private schools, where people just think you have to be this particular person to be popular, and being categorized by people. I didn't care about that. I think all I really cared about is self-preservation and keeping myself and being myself. That is one thing that I cherished, and I'm happy that I cherish that, because it allows me to realize the things that I'm doing wrong in my life, like performing and just not doing things in the way that pleases and nourishes my soul. Because at the end of the day, even Romans 12 talks about how we should not conform to the patterns of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of our minds. And I thank the Lord that I am Christian, because I feel like if I wasn't, it would be very difficult to also see these things. And even some people who are not Christians see these things, right? But the power to break free from that becomes difficult, because sometimes we can't do it by our own strength. We really can't. We can't do it anytime. But yeah, yeah, all we need is to be ourselves and to love one another, to be uncool, Miss Octavia says, and to cherish our identities, because we live in a crazy world now. Thank you guys for watching. If you enjoyed, please give me a like. Please give me a subscribe. Please just subscribe, comment, do whatever you gotta do. I will see you guys next week. I'm excited for next week's episode. Oof, 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 oof. And if you want to read my Substack, I'm gonna put it in the description below, because I have a Substack and I read about a lot of things. And this big brain, man, like I just be thinking. I just be thinking. But have a good day. May God bless you, and we love you so much.